Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 287, a primer on Theosophy, or of Theosophy rather. 123 pages, so it's an intermediate length read. Link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books blogs. I think I have about a dozen works of Theosophy now available. Some of them are under the academic header. Most of them are under the religion and scriptures section, actually. Now, on both blogs, Blogspot and WordPress. This is an excellent work if you're interested in Theosophy as a path, whether you're practicing or just studying it. It is a basic primer. It's a broad overview of the system itself and in its minutiae that was released by the Theosophical Society as a specific introductory text. The most valuable part is that it's an excellent springboard because it has an exhaustive bibliography of other works by several dozen different theosophical authors. It explains a little bit about sort of the life and views of Blavatsky and Occult and some of these other figures. A broad overview in multiple sections of the history of Theosophy as a movement, number one. Its basic premise, number two. It's sort of East-West fusion. The idea of avatars, of root races and so forth, slowly evolving and coming about over time. One of the funniest parts is that the Theosophists believed, and I believe still do believe to this day, the idea that the new root race actually will be from the United States because of the admixture of all of the other people, that it will give rise to a new human being and usher in the new Atlantean age. You could say that that's broadly the view that's associated with like the New World Order stuff. And it's stated, I mean, it's openly stated and considered virtuous in all of the literature. Not sure how I feel about some aspects of Theosophy, to be honest. However, there are elements of it that are wise. It explains like their concept of reincarnation, which is vaguely Hinduistic in approach mostly. Deva Chan, the idea of sort of a purging, sort of a purgatorial situation. It's sort of a fusion of the Western concept of purgatory with the Eastern concept of reincarnation. And it sort of fuses Buddhist and Hindu lore semi-indiscriminately. At times, for instance, Buddha is considered one of the avatars along with Jesus. And then you have various other figures that they consider to be enlightened throughout time. Abraham and so forth. The arising of religions. Theosophy is sort of the basic billing of Theosophy is that it's the wisdom religion. It's the search for truth. And so they have no specific actual religion. It's almost like it's not a religion. It's a spiritual path that encompasses them all. And they're just trying to look through them and find, especially where they overlap, and deliver spiritual statements based on these religions. It's an interesting movement. Sort of peaked at the dawn of the 20th century and has mostly petered out. I did redact a couple of sections at the end because a lot of like their mailing address is no longer valid. Their initial mailing addresses, many of the temples, you could call them, or centers that they operated, there's a whole laundry list of them in here. Most of them don't exist anymore. They're still very active in Adyar in India. They still have a publishing firm as well. They still make material. Which, you know, you can get as well, although that's obviously copyrighted. But it's an excellent work, definitely a good overview. Again, though, I did redact a couple of sections at the end. There was no reason to include them because they're no longer valid. Like advertisements, oh, write in and we can send you this book. Well, if you write in, you're not getting, your letter will be returned to sender because the address simply does not exist anymore in most cases. Again, link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links to my books blogs. That's about all. Peace out.